This review is going to kind of be informal since I'm going to review The Cat Returns by Hayao Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli. Because reviewing Hayao Miyazaki films is like going to a nice restaurant trying to pick apart a nice looking dish. It's so pretty you don't even want to touch it because you're going to ruin it. In comparison to going to like a fast food place, which in this case, the good restaurant is Hayao Miyazaki films, and the fast food is the other crappy films that try to imitate those films he made. Anyway, I liked The Cat Returns. It was a little short because it was supposed to be a short. It wasn't meant to be a movie. It was, I think it was based on a manga. I forget who wrote it. I haven't seen it. I haven't gotten my hands on it. I plan to. I watched the extras on the DVD and it talked about how it was made. And so it came from that, and it was just a short based on that. I actually saw, Whisper of the Heart, which was a sequel to The Cat Returns. Meaning that it was made after The Cat Returns, so it was a sequel, but it was, before it. Does that make sense? Because it was about a girl who writes the story of the Baron, which is The Cat Returns. So she writes the story of The Cat Returns. And then, it describes all, how the characters came about, she meets people and then they end up being in her story. Like how, Baron ends up being the Baron and, all the other characters, too. Overall, it was a very good movie. I loved it. In fact, the first time I watched it, I wasn't really sure about it. I thought it was okay, I was like, it's okay. It was really short. I wanted it to go longer. I got scared of the Cat King. I didn't like him. He was just creepy and ugly and yeah. Also the prince was kind of weird looking. He had two different color eyes. It was weird. His right was red and his left was blue or something. Or the other way around, I don't remember. But after I found myself wanting to watch it again, and usually that doesn't happen with films. So I was like, oh my god, I like this film a lot. I just feel bad because not many people know about it. When you hear Studio Ghibli, you don't think of The Cat Returns, you think of something like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke. And this film also deserves to be recognized, and a lot of people know it, but it's just not as renowned. And it's very good. It's a very good film. I think it should be grouped in with other films that other people acknowledge. So yeah, I think people should go watch The Cat Returns. You probably have to buy it or go on Vio. I'm not sure if it's on Vio. I know for a fact though it's not available on YouTube. You can rent it. It's pretty expensive, but I think it's worth the money. There's a lot of extras. I didn't know Anne Hathaway was in it either. That was pretty cool. I was like, oh my god, Anne Hathaway's in it. In the English dub, not the Japanese dub. So that was really cool. What else about the film? I like the music, when all the little cats come to visit her, for what she did, which you'll see, they come visit her because of something she did to, reward her, to bring her gifts. I like the music. That was, my favorite piece. It was so cool. It was kind of, Hindu-y, Japanese-ish. Weird. It was more Japanese, but you know what I mean? It was, Hindu-ish sounding. So yeah, it was very good. But as expected from a film directed by Hayao Miyazaki. And it's weird because I watched, like I said, Whisper of the Heart before, which is actually, I recommend you do watch Whisper of the Heart before. Even though the Baron looks different, which I don't like, and Whisper of the Heart wasn't that great. It was fun, it was good, it was better than most movies, but wasn't as good as The Cat Returns. It was kind of like the backstory of it. So yeah, I would definitely say watch The Cat Returns, but before you do, watch Whisper of the Heart. It's also a good movie, but it's not as good. Just be prepared. This leads me to my Studio Ghibli talk. I've noticed something ongoing in Studio Ghibli. Any movie, even if it's from Studio Ghibli, that's not directed by Hayao Miyazaki is not as good. There's a couple movies. Obviously I said Whisper of the Heart wasn't as good. And I thought it was directed by Hayao Miyazaki, but it didn't seem like it, but I didn't think there were other directors in Studio Ghibli. And I found out it wasn't. I found it was directed by his friend. I forget his name. I forget. I don't want to guess and disgrace myself. I forget, but he directed it instead. Also, what other movies? Tales from Earthsea, I think that's what it was called. Yeah, that one wasn't directed either by Hayao Miyazaki. Also, Only Yesterday wasn't. I want to see it. I don't know. Grave of the Fireflies wasn't. There's a couple more movies, but most of them were directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Tales from Earthsea was a disaster, I thought. It was a disaster. But, it was directed by his son. So, I can understand why they want more, like, to try out other directors, because as Hayao Miyazaki said, like, they need to get more directors, because after Miyazaki passes, he needs someone to carry on Studio Ghibli. It's kind of like when Walt Disney passed away, Disney went downhill. That's why I'm scared for Studio Ghibli. And I just thought about this because, like I said, Whisper of the Heart wasn't as good as The Cat Returns, and I looked at the two directors, and I was like, oh my god. The only film I didn't like from Hayao Miyazaki that he directed was Porco Rosso, and it wasn't because it was bad, it just felt like it ran out of time. Like, he dragged out two things too slowly, and then everything, like, happened at the end, like, oh my god, we gotta finish this. And, you know, if he had had more time, I bet it would have been perfect. Also, I'm not a big fan of pigs. Which brings me to another point I should probably say. Hayao Miyazaki's, like, obsessed with pigs. Like, seriously. He even said in one of, like, this, extras I was watching, with an interview, that he just loves pigs. Like, he likes that. He likes flying things, like flying machines. That's why there's lots of, like, contraptions and stories about airplanes and floating castles and things like that. Because Hayao Miyazaki's into that. He also inserts a lot of messages about, like, saving the environment and feminism. Like, if you noticed in, I recently watched Spirited Away, the river spirit was all, like, they thought he was a stink spirit at first, and he's all dirty and stuff. And, like, they find out there's something stuck in him, and it's, like, a bicycle or something, like, a whole bunch of junk. And I just, like, thought, oh my god, that's, like, saying, look at, like, we're polluting our rivers, look how dirty it is. And so he had to go to the bathhouse to get clean, because everyone was polluting him. And he was representative of the river spirit. And he also likes putting in ideas, like hate, and war, and, what was the other one? Greed, anger, fear, and they'll be represented in a character or a supporting character. For example, using Spirited Away again. No Face represented greed. What else? Well, when I say fear, it was the main character of Earthsea. I forget his name. Who cares? I forget names all the time, so I hope no one, like, gets mad at me and be like, oh my god, I didn't remember their name. It's not my fault, I don't remember. Oh, and Ashitaka, he represented, hatred. Not him as the character, but remember how his arm, and he's saying, this is the face of hatred? Like, that was representing hatred. So yeah, that's just a couple things to think about with Studio Ghibli. I just came across that thread of thoughts through The Cat Returns. And watching, Spirited Away, I watched it in the same sitting. Well, you know, one after the other, sort of. Like, in 2 days. So yeah, I just kind of thought of those things through both of those stories, or one or the other. And I want to talk more about that later, but I just wanted to bring that up a little bit. This is running really long, oh well. This sounds so informal too. I'm never doing something like this again. I'm only doing this, like I said, because Studio Ghibli films, without a doubt, are the best. They're the cream of the crop. You don't need to review them because there's pretty much nothing wrong with them. Unless they're not directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I should do a review on Earthsea, because not many people have watched that. I didn't even know it existed until I watched, like, some random YouTube video, and I was like, what is that? That's not a Studio Ghibli film. And it was. I can see why it's not as popular, because it's not as good. Anyway, this is running long, so that's pretty much it. I don't know. I'm probably going to do some, not review, but I want to analyze some things in anime. I don't know.